我很高兴今天请到何晓东 Luke Hursh. He graduated in 2016, double major Chinese studies and marketing. So his experience is very valuable. I'm so glad he's here. So let's hear his story.
All right. Thank you. Hello, guys. My name is Luke Hursh. Can anyone read my Chinese name? Put you on the spot. Yep, Xiaodong. So it's He. So He, I actually just picked because it's a fairly common surname and it's phonetically similar to Hursh. So I just picked that. And Xiaodong, actually, Ye Lao Shi gave me in my first Chinese 101 class. And every time I'm at like a business dinner or with people my age in China and I say my name, they giggle. So I don't know if they're laughing with me or at me yet, but it always gets a reaction. So currently I'm a category manager at Clark Associates, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I've been doing since I graduated from Messiah. So like I said, the purpose of me coming here and speaking with you guys a little bit is just to kind of show some possibilities of stuff you can do with your Chinese language skills and ways that it will improve your job hunt after you graduate. So like I said about me, I double majored in Chinese studies and marketing. I studied abroad for 2 semesters, Xiamen University through Messiah, and then I actually also took 1 semester off to volunteer during my sophomore year in Taipei, Taiwan. So why Chinese? To be honest, when I first signed up for Chinese 101, I had no desire to study past the 3 semesters you needed, and honestly in my head I was planning on taking 2, doing a J-term in another country for the cross-cultural credit, and then just never studying a language ever again. But I took Chinese 101 and I was hooked. I loved it so much. So I decided to, I kept adding, I'm going to take 1 more Chinese class. And then pretty soon I was like, I'm pretty close to having the minor because I've taken so many classes. And then it was like, pretty soon I was like, I'm not far from having the major, and realized I could fit it in with my schedule. So I ended up double majoring and set myself apart. That was the one thing that I really thought. There's a lot of people that study marketing, right? There's a lot of people that go to college anymore. So what's one way that I can set myself apart when I'm job hunting after I graduate? If you have Chinese on your resume in any capacity, it's gonna set you apart. People are gonna, you're gonna raise eyebrows. You studied Chinese in college? So that's the one thing that I thought when I first took Chinese, and it has definitely proved to be true since graduating. And right there you can see that's me with Ye Lao Shi on my graduation day.
Still remember that.
I know. Time flies. So this is what I've done since graduating. So right after I graduated, I taught English for 1 year. As you guys know, after you graduate, after 6 months, your loans kick in, right? I really wanted to continue studying Chinese and get some immersion experience. Teaching English for that year was a great way to go work abroad and live in a Chinese-speaking environment while still, getting some income and being able to pay off my loans and survive. And then after that, I was awarded a Chinese Studies Scholarship, which was full-time in 2017, and I'll go into more detail about that. And then early 2018, I came back, and this is, I would say, when I really started my professional career. I was an assistant buyer at Burlington Stores. I was actually living in Philadelphia, and then half of my work week was in Manhattan, and half of it was in New Jersey, so a lot of traveling. And then towards the end of 2018, my now current boss at Clark Associates reached out to me about a position pretty similar to what I was doing, but he said, you'll get to use your Chinese and travel to China a lot for work, and I was sold because that's what I've been working all through Messiah College towards. So like I said, I taught English for a year. Those are some of the adorable students I had when I was there. Super cute, great experience, and my Chinese improved a lot because my roommates at that time didn't speak much English, so it was kind of a sink or swim situation. And then in 2017, I applied and I got, it's called the Hess Scholarship, which stands for Hanyu Enrichment Scholarship. My specific scholarship was a monthly stipend of $1,000 a month, which if you're from a big city in the US, that might not seem like a lot, probably not even enough to live off of. where I was living in the outskirts of Taipei, that was more than enough to survive off of. Like, you probably could live pretty comfortably off of $700 a month. So it's a big scholarship. And you can actually choose the university that you do it at. I chose National Taiwan Normal University because it was close to my apartment and a pretty good school. I just want to encourage you guys, there are so many different scholarships like this that you can get through the Chinese government. You can get some through the US government. Specific universities give them out. I know when I studied abroad in Xiamen, at Xiamen University, I had lots of foreign friends who had gotten, their master's, a full scholarship for their master's degree through the school. So, there's specific schools that give out scholarships. The Chinese government gives out scholarships. The US government gives out scholarships. So if you want to take your Chinese to the next level after graduating and not lose what you learned at Messiah, this is a great option, something like this, to continue taking your Chinese to the next level. And I'm sure Stella knows of some, and you guys can reach out to me if you ever have any questions about this. One more thing I'll say is there's, specific budgets that, the Chinese government has set aside. They give out a certain amount per year. So if, not a lot of people apply for it one year, there's a really good chance you can get a pretty decent scholarship. So this is what I'm doing now, Clark Associates. We are the second largest food equipment supplier, Central Penn Business Journal's #1 fastest growing company in 2018. Once again in 2018, for the 9th time in a row, we were one of their top 50 fastest growing companies in Pennsylvania. We're up to over 3,000 employees now, and we currently offer over 70 summer internships per year. In those departments I listed: legal, procurement, supply chain, e-commerce, marketing, graphic design, and there's a lot more as well. You can get more information about those on our website if you're interested, or ask me. So a little bit about what I do specifically at Clark Associates. So over there I have the Webstron store. That is our e-commerce venue. So a lot of what I do, well, first off, has anyone ever heard of a category manager as a position? I have not had one person that has known what that was, which is pretty much the response I normally get. The way I normally describe it is if you have a point A, point B, point C, point D in like the life cycle of a product, say that table, for example. So you have the factory, maybe it's in China where it's made, and then you have to get it across the ocean on a container. You have to get it to our warehouses, and then you have to get it out to the customer, in a timely fashion without it being damaged. So I would say my job is kind of like a liaison, making sure that that process goes smoothly, that the factory's doing everything correctly, it's getting to us on time, and then we're getting out to the customer in a timely fashion without things getting damaged, and at a good price to them. So like I said, I purchased stainless steel restaurant equipment, so you can see tables, sinks, a lot of bar equipment. It's really exciting. I was telling Stella, when I actually go out to bars and restaurants, it's pretty cool because I very often will actually see the stuff that I imported, and it's pretty cool to see products that either maybe it's a domestic vendor, it's made in America, but I get to see it out and about, and it's like, oh, I work with them, or hey, that's my brand, I'm provided that item to the customer, and now they're like getting use out of it. It's pretty cool to actually just every day in my normal everyday life, I get to see kind of like the fruits of my work. I know it sounds a little bit cheesy, but it makes me excited. So another main part of my job is working with vendors and factories to get the best price, making sure that we're paying good prices, that we're pricing to our customers at good prices. And then I also do a lot of marketing on our website. So I don't actually do graphic design or like web design or coding it or even print marketing, but I'm in charge of making sure everything makes sense from a product perspective in the marketing. So I'm always working with our graphic design teams and those teams to make sure that everything looks good and makes sense. So a little bit more specific on what I do on the Chinese side of my job. So these are all pictures of my business trip I took this year in February and March. I took all of them except the bottom left, that big picture. Obviously did not take that floating above the building, but that's the hotel I stayed at. It was really sweet, downtown Shanghai. If you've never been to Shanghai, you need to go to Shanghai. It's, like nothing I've ever seen. So those were the cities I got to go to this year: Shanghai, Hangzhou, Guangzhou, Zhuhai, and Taipei. So really fun. So pretty much on the Chinese side, every single day I'm communicating with my factories through email and making sure the process is going smoothly. If I get any customer complaints like, hey, this isn't working properly, then I work with the factory to, hey, what can we do to fix this problem? I also work with them, what's the next thing we should be doing? And then when we actually go to factory or go to China, we're visiting the factories, seeing how they're growing. Are they growing with us? Because we're growing very quickly as a company. We want to make sure that everyone we're working with can handle the growth that we're seeing. And then we also will maybe visit a few new factories and kind of start some new relationships. Does anyone know what the phrase guanxi means? Yeah, relationships or connections, very good. So guanxi is very important in Chinese business. I don't know if you haven't heard that. Is anyone studying business here? Yeah? So when you're a senior, you'll take Dr. Zigarelli's, yep. In that class, he talks about it a lot in some of his case studies, the Harvard Business Review case studies, about how important it is in China. It's a lot more about who you know than it is in the US. And so it's very important to go get FaceTime with these people. And it's also nice because I'm emailing with people every single day, but I never see them. So it's nice to go get the dinners and the drinks and stuff like that are very important on these trips. And the one other thing I'll say with that, another area that my studying Chinese at Messiah has really benefited me in my job, even though a lot of these factories, most factories in China that are kind of worth their stuff will have at least a few English speakers, people that can speak English very well. But it's very important that when I'm asking them questions, even if I'm speaking English with them over email, that they understand me the first time I ask a question or say something, vice versa. It's important that they ask me, exactly what they want me to know, because when I email them, the earliest I can get a response is the next business day, because they're sleeping when I'm at work and I'm sleeping when they're at work. So if you're not communicating clearly the first time, maybe it's 2 to 3 days before you get the information you need, and then maybe if you're trying to answer a customer's question, another day until the customer hears the information. So being able to think in the mindset of someone who is a Chinese speaker and be able to think, even though I'm speaking English right now, would this make sense to them, what I'm asking? Because obviously in English, there's so much slang. Our languages are so different. It's important to be able to put on your Chinese speaker hat, even if you're speaking English. So that's another area I think it's been huge for me in my job. So that's kind of more on the Chinese side of my job, and excited to go back again next year and hopefully get to some of the bigger trade shows in Shanghai and maybe Guangzhou or Hong Kong. Leverage your Chinese. So I just really want to stress, even for jobs that I've had or interviewed for that have absolutely nothing to do with Chinese, the first question I'm generally asked in any interview I've had since graduating is, you studied Chinese in college? Tell me about it. First question every time. My last job before the job I'm at now, I did not use Chinese once the entire time I was with the company, but half of my interview was about Chinese. It's just because, some of these companies might have 100 people apply for the same position. Maybe, the bigger companies, 1,000. And what makes you different from the other 1,000 people that are applying for that job? Maybe all those 1,000 have, the same degree. Like, what sets someone apart? Because, having a high GPA is important, and you obviously want to do the best you can in school. But there's a lot of people with decent GPAs that all studied the same thing. So once again, does having 0.1 better of a GPA, help you versus someone else? Maybe, yeah. But having something like, I can speak Chinese on your resume, that is huge. Because even if you don't need to use Chinese for the job, it proves that you're willing to learn something. It proves that you're willing to do something, maybe get outside your comfort zone and do something new and different and flexible, because it's so different, and not a lot of people, in the US are studying Chinese. So I think it, at a minimum, it sticks out, and they're not going to forget the person that just handed them a resume that says, I speak Chinese or I studied Chinese. So at a minimum, you're going to stick out. But I think more than that, people will see, wow, they have initiative, they're smart, and characteristics like that. continuing Chinese study, I really just wanted to recommend, I know it's easy, you have so many classes and things when you're at college. A lot of people don't want to take more than the 2 language courses that they need to, but I promise 25-year-old you and 30-year-old you is going to be very happy for what college you did and the things that you did to set yourself apart when you're going to apply for jobs in the future. So getting as much Chinese under your belt before graduating as you can and setting yourself apart will be huge in the future, and it will pay off for future you. A few ways that I like to keep up with my Chinese since graduating are, because obviously, I mean, everyone's busy. We don't have a lot of time. And if you didn't have this Chinese class, would you be like sitting at home by yourself reading a textbook? It's probably not. So what I like to do is there's lots of YouTube channels that teach you Chinese for free. There's free podcasts like Chinese Pod I have listed there. I also pay for Skritter and Chinese Pod. Those are 2 apps. They're like $5 a month. Skritter is for learning how to write characters. And in my opinion, it's like the best app out there for learning characters. And then Chinese Pod is a free YouTube channel and podcast, as well as they have a paid website and app with a lot more features. And then italki is a website where you can sign up to tutor and teach or learn a language from somebody else. So you're actually like Skyping with somebody, getting an actual kind of quote unquote typical like one-on-one lesson. So I actually tutor English on that, which I've been doing since I was in school at Messiah, as well as I take Chinese lessons, I guess you could call them. At this point, I pretty much just talk with someone for an hour in Chinese. I try to do it once a week just so I'm, constantly, I don't go through a week without speaking Chinese for an extended period of time. So that's something you can look into as well. And once again, I would encourage you guys to look into the scholarship opportunities. There are so many scholarships to study Chinese or to study a master's or other things in China. So definitely look into them if you are serious about it and you want to take it to the next level. And like I said, even if you don't want to minor in it or you don't want to major in it, or maybe you do but you can't fit it in, any little bit you can add, and the better you get, it's only going to help you in the future to impress future employers. And then at the very end, I had take the HSK test. I don't know if anyone here knows what that is, but it's pretty much China's, their standardized test for language proficiency. So it's a scale of 1 to 6, 1 being like beginner, and then it's, I think, pre-intermediate, intermediate 1 and 2, and then advanced 1 and 2. Even if you test, maybe level 3, that's still, you can put on a resume that I tested, China's official language test at an intermediate level. That's huge. That makes your resume stick out so much. So you guys, this is Chinese 201? 202. So this is what, Chinese 4, right? So I think all of you could at least test to level 3, just if you took it right now at the end of this class. That would be huge to put on your resume. Any little thing like that you can put to make you stick out, it will help you out and it would be great. And I regret not taking that immediately before graduating Messiah when it was all still fresh, because although I still have to speak Chinese a lot for work, the kind of technical, I guess, like school and structure I've lost a lot of, and think it would have been better if I took it like while I was still fresh. So I would recommend that you guys do that. It's only, I think, maybe $60 or something, which I know that's a lot, but to help you get better jobs throughout your career, it's worth it. And you can take it, there's lots of schools in the area that are like registered to be able to give these tests. So one Saturday out of your life to make your resume impressive. That's pretty much all I had, but is there any questions? You can ask me anything. Yeah?
Those scholarships you were talking about, you said some of your friends in China were doing their masters and getting it paid for?
Yeah.
Completely? Mm-hmm. How do you find those?
To be honest, I'm not sure where they found theirs. I'm fairly certain theirs were actually through the university that I was at, which was Xiamen University, which is in the south. It's like one of the most beautiful campuses in the world. So you can look at specific universities. If you just Google a lot, you will find these things. So mine was not for a master's, but was just for Chinese study. But actually, my scholarship, they also offered that scholarship, like the $1,000 a month, for master's degrees as well, and PhDs. So for mine was through the Taiwan Ministry of Education. It's split up into a couple different branches. So mine would be the New York Embassy, which handles Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York. If you're from a different state, like I think LA is one of them for West Coast, and then there's a few others. So you could look into that. It's the Hess Scholarship for the language, and then it's called, I think, the MOE, Ministry of Education Scholarship, if you want to look into a master's. I would look into the ones the U.S. government's offering, the ones the Chinese government is offering, which you can find like on the embassy sites as well, I believe. The Chinese embassy sites would have information about them. So whatever state you're from, whatever embassy is kind of like, I think it would be New York City for Pennsylvania. So if you're from PA, New Jersey, that area, it would be the New York Embassy. You can find information. And then I would also check a bunch of specific universities, like some big universities in China. If you have a city you really want to go to in particular, or you're interested in, check the universities in that area and what they're offering. And then also, I mean, you can ask your professors, and you can even reach out to me if you have kind of a specific thing you're looking for. I can try and help more.
So Liu Laoshi and I actually keep sending you opportunities for scholarship and the internship opportunities every semester. So make sure you check those out. We almost have 20 scholarship opportunities on the PDF sheet. For Chinese majors and minors, I keep sending those files every semester. If you lost it, let me know. HSE is one example.
HES.
HES. So please check that out too. That's for, you will follow,
I don't know if I mentioned, it's pretty intense too. That one was full-time, 3 hours a day of class, and then 3 hours of homework after class you had to do on your own. So it's 6 hours a day, every day, all Chinese.
And he speaks Chinese only with me. So that's a result, right? Good result.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
I guess one other thing I would say too, take advantage of every opportunity you have here. I know it's, central Pennsylvania, it's not like there's a huge Chinese speaking population, but I even, every once in a while will go to my local Chinese church and just, there's a lot of biblical words I do not know in Chinese, but even just you're hearing people talk all around you, there's always a potluck afterwards, and you go and meet people. So I kind of get connected that way, going to my Chinese church every now and again, and I have made a lot of connections through that. There's a couple that I used to go to every once in a while in Mechanicsburg. There's one or two, so there's a lot of different ways you can get connected, but pretty much any way you can immerse yourself in a Chinese-speaking environment. If you like dramas, there's TV shows, dramas I could recommend some. Listen to Chinese music, Jay Chou or something.
Xiaodong was also the president for Chinese Club when he was here.
Oh.
So yes, so a lot of we organized a lot of activities.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a Chinese church near here too. And our Chinese club will organize that every Sunday, so try to join us.
I know it might be a little bit, I still, when I go to a Chinese church, I feel very comfortable, with common conversation or for work. But when I go to Chinese church, I have to hear the translation. I, understand only half of what the preacher is saying, but it's still good to just, meet people, try and speak some Chinese with everyone around you. Any other questions? Yeah.
What was your favorite city you went to?
Interesting. Somebody else asked me that. It's tough because I've been to I loved so many of them, and they're all kind of different stages. Some I'm at for work, and I'm in a factory literally from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And then some I was traveling, just doing nothing but relaxing for 3 weeks. But recently, I would say my favorite was probably Guangzhou. That was my first time in Guangzhou. Yeah. So I was in Shanghai for about 5 days, which I love Shanghai, but I had already been there a couple times. So it still doesn't wear off. When you see Shanghai, when you go to the Bund and you see the skyline, it still will blow your mind every single time. But I just remember it was raining for 6 days straight, and then I went to Hangzhou, still raining for a couple days. And then I went to Guangzhou, and it was sunny and 85, and I was just this is absolutely gorgeous. And once again, the skyline there is so impressive. It will blow your mind. And I just would sit at my hotel window and stare out. It was one of the coolest cities. Kind of the downtown is set up around a park. Kind of like Central Park, but imagine all the skyscrapers built right around it. And you look out and it's just a crazy skyline all around this like gorgeous park with like rivers and ponds and like running paths where people are running around. It was awesome. And the weather is amazing. Good food, good dim sum.
Dim sum, the best.
Yeah, I had so much dim sum that trip.
See, study Chinese, good food.
Exactly,
right?
we get taken out for some pretty sweet meals. Any other questions? You can ask me anything.
So who are ready for an internship in this summer?
Yeah.
So,
One more time I want to throw out at 5:15, my company will be right over here at the atrium. Pizza with professionals, come get some free pizza. You know, if nothing else, get some free pizza. But we'll be talking about some pretty cool internship opportunities. Like I said, we do give out a lot every year. Even if you know you're not ready to get an internship this year, I don't know what year you guys are, but come get some connections and then apply for next year if you're looking for an internship next summer. We give out a lot every year. There's a lot of cool opportunities. And one more thing I'll say is we are really focusing on hiring language majors this year, which is actually why they had asked me to come and be here today. So
most of us here are Chinese majors and minors.
really awesome. That is our number one focus. And even though I'm not in, I guess, a specific Chinese role for my job, it has helped me, so much, like I mentioned earlier. And like I said, that is our, the one major we're really focusing on this year. We've had good success with them and looking to get some more on our team. So
We're so glad to hear that because that's so real. Right? You hear from
Yeah.
me, really? Boy, he's here, that's real. 很好. Any more questions? Okay, great. 谢谢 Thank you.
Thanks.
谢谢小
谢谢。
龙